Thank you. And I mean, thank you for the privilege of speaking to your audience. I think everybody's journey in life is different. And I feel like if you have flexibility of thinking and flexibility of mind, you go places, right? So, what led to it? It was more a coincidence than planned. For me in particular, I finished school and I was very willing to practice engineering, but I started in the Nigerian system where everything was who you know. I did all the stuff, all the distinction. I always got a distinction. When it gets to the final stage, either I'm not from the all producing state or I don't know somebody at the top. And I just went for a company that was strictly on merit. And that's how I started in FMCG. I started realizing that, when you go to school, they teach you how to think in a particular way. So if you study law, you're taught in a particular way to think. If you study engineering, there's a particular way to think. When you finish, the question is, what do you do with it? It's not about going to do engineering. It's about how do you apply now your way of thinking to a new thing. So because you study engineering doesn't automatically mean you'll be an engineer because you are still in the theory phase and you've been taught how to think. Because you study law doesn't mean you'll be a lawyer. You can study law and become a company secretary. You can study law and even become a salesperson because you've now been taught how to think about administrative, about contracts, about even how to handle, compliance. So it's different things that you've been taught. And except you understand that, especially in this age, I feel like you can box yourself into a very narrow line and it could be dangerous, for future growth. I'm not somebody that would tell you, oh, I can't do that. Or, despite all my career achievements, I have zero issues starting from scratch. I have zero issues, saying I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. So what tends to happen is that the curiosity is what gets me to some places or to some things. So there are some roles that in theory I shouldn't even have started, but then it's just when it comes and it sounds good and there's a learning curve. So for the Sabi one, I always wanted to move into tech because I felt that was the future. I've been in FMCG, I've done digital transformation there, I've done a lot of work, let me say, in digitalizing, but I've not done work in really saying how do you build the technology of the future for work. So it has been an interest because I told myself, it's going to be the future, so why not? And when the opportunity came, there was even no title, there was nothing. And they said, what do you want? I was like, I don't know. I just want to be in this space and I want to learn in the space. And that was it. And they decided to give me something. And when I entered, I told my colleagues, I said, oh, I'm here as a freshman. I'm a new graduate. And they all like, oh, come on, what do you mean? And it was funny because there were so many topics that at a point in time, some of them said, you can't tell us you were never in tech, you're lying. I'm like, no, you guys took things for granted. I didn't. I was born in the midnight oil. You were teaching me stuff and I'll go back and read it and I'll check it and I'll do this. Why? Because I really wanted to be in the industry. So I always feel like the curiosity makes you to be childlike, and the more childlike you have, the more growth mindset you have, and the growth mindset will take you places. I don't know what next or what I'm doing, but all I just know, I know what I won't do, but I know that I'm totally flexible, in terms of what I'm willing to do, and I think that helps because you learn more, you grow more, you're also able to impact more, over time.
It's from what you said. It's like I think we can take something as an important point there in terms of you seeing yourself as somebody who knows nothing. That's a kind of maybe being humble enough to, and looking at your background here, at least you've been able to, tell you did your MBA in Cambridge. And I remember those days, anybody that goes to Cambridge, like, say he read in Cambridge, he studied or she studied in Cambridge. Your postgraduate also in emeritus universities. and also in Nottingham. So somebody who has that kind of experience and been trained and leveled, headed to have achieved that, should like, okay, I'm coming with all this kind of certificates, and then, but for you, you try to, like downplay as if nothing happens. So how are you able to do that? I know it takes a lot of wisdom to be able to operate in that realm, because it's not everybody. A lot of people now, they take all their certificate, they put it as if, but you, in your own case, right now, you are saying you find yourself in a space and you want to learn that, because for our audience too, some of them, maybe that thing can get into them. And for people like you, for somebody like you have been there, we're able to work in almost in 30 countries of the world, you know, it means that you have the experience, you know exactly what you're talking about, so that for them to be able to integrate and in terms of their career, advance, so I think you have that spot to be able to do so, to advise them. What would you want to say about that? How?
It's complex because career growth is a combination of the individual attitude, right? The second part is a mindset. Somebody will say, how is attitude different to mindset? They're different. And then finally, the capability of the individual. So some people actually, they are willing, they have the right attitude, they have the right mindset, but they are not capable for various reasons, right? While some people have the attitude, but they don't have the mindset. So there are a lot of people that feel like exactly what you said. Okay, I have a master's, a PhD, I have 5 degrees, 4 degrees, I have all the paper. Why am I not being employed? Or why am I not the manager? Why am I not the director? So some people believe that because I've done X, I have to have Y. But that's not life, because what school does is it gives you the framework, right? Which means that you will be faster in implementing or in gaining versus somebody that doesn't have the framework. But the school does not automatically qualify you.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But so you have people, so you may have spent 3 years learning the framework, but you also have people that have spent 10 years learning the framework. Now, when you get into the market and you say, I should be taken, why should I take you? I've found people that have done it for 10 years. They've applied it. They've made mistakes.
They've learned
in that framework. So they may not know the theoretical framework. They may not even understand the principles of the theoretical framework. But when it comes to the practicality of that framework you learned, they can teach you. So I think if you come to the space of what I know is the framework, I know the principles, and yes, I can probably go faster than somebody that doesn't know, but then now agree that I now need to know how to implement that framework. And remember that this framework can be implemented in like 3,000 ways. It has to be adapted to the context at every point in time. We talked about the industries, right? I have used the same experience to work in FMCG. Okay. The same experience or the same skills, not experience, skills to work in tech. And you would say, 2 different industries. Yes. But actually, when it comes to skill sets, it's actually the same. You just need to know how to adapt it. Why? I have the framework. I have used the same framework to work in oil and gas. Because why? And now the question is, okay, how can you do tech? How can you do FMC? How can you do oil and gas? These 3 industries clearly don't even merge in any shape or form. It doesn't. One is where it's factory based, you have to produce quickly, you have to sell quickly, you have to do. One is a bit more futuristic, a lot of people don't even know what they're doing yet, Google has this today, Apple has this tomorrow. So you're designing things that don't exist, for people that don't even know what their problem is in the first place, right? So it's extremely innovative. And then one is very compliance based, very heavy, traditional. Oil and gas has always been there. So now, how do you apply the same skills to all 3?
To harness all those things.
And you can still succeed. Is because once you acknowledge that, you have a framework that is adaptable, the question is, what are the differences? So I've just told you what the differences of this industry are. So when I'm bringing the framework, I already understand that because they have these differences, I have to adapt, in how it works for all 3. and that is what helps you succeed. But if you go into it and say, you know what, I am good, I know all the theory, so what?